जय गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यमुनातीरा वनचारी
यमुनातीरा वनचारी
यमुनातीरा वनचारी
यमुनातीरा वनचारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव
जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
देवाहूति स्त्रिया प्रजः
देवहूति श्रिय प्रजः
सर्वास्ताश्चरु सर्वाङ्ग्यो
सर्वास्ता सर्वांग्यो
लोहितोत्पालगन्धया
लोहितो
Okay, so it's not coming. No problem, Prabhuji. You read and or pass it on to Prabhuji. Yeah. अतः सा सुषुवे सद्यो
देवभूति स्थिरा प्रजा
देवहूति स्त्रिया प्रजः
सर्वतश्चरु सर्वाण्यो
सर्वास्ताश्चारु सर्वाङ्ग्यो
लोहितोत्पल गन्धया
लोहितोत्पालगन्धयः
3:23:48
अतः सा सुषुवे सद्यो
देवहूति श्रिया प्रजः
देवहूति स्त्रिया प्रजः
सर्वस्ताश्चारु सर्वज्ञो
सर्वास्ताश्चारु सर्वाङ्ग्यो
लोहितत्पोर गन्धया
लोहितोत्पलगन्धयः अतः सा सुषुवे सद्यो देवहूति स्त्रिया प्रजः सर्वास्ताश्चारु सर्वाङ्ग्यो लोहितोत्पलगन्धया. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So reading word to word synonyms. Ataha,
अतः
then.
then
Sa,
सा
she.
she
Sushuve,
सुषुवे
give birth.
gave birth
Sadyah,
सद्यः
on the same day.
on the same day
Devahuti,
देवहूति
Devahuti.
देवहूति
Striya,
स्त्रिया
females.
female
Prajaha,
प्रजा
progeny.
भोजन
Sarvah,
सर्वा
all.
और
Tah,
ता
they.
दे
Charu sarva angyah,
चारु सर्व अंग्य
charming in every limb.
charming in every limb
Lohita,
लोहित
red.
red
Utpala,
उत्पल
like the lotus. Gandhaya,
गंधया
fragrant.
fragrant
Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, Abhay Charna Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Immediately afterward, on the same day, Devahuti gave birth to 9 female children, all charming in every limb and fragrant with the scent of the red lotus flower. Purport. Devahuti was too sexually excited and therefore she discharged more ova and 9 daughters were born. It is said in the Smriti Shastra as well as in the Ayurveda that when the discharge of the male is greater, male children are begotten, but when the discharge of the female is greater, female children are begotten. It appears from the circumstances that Devahuti was more sexually excited and therefore she had 9 daughters at once. All the daughters, however, were very beautiful and their bodies were nicely formed. Each resembled a lotus flower and was fragrant like a red lotus. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangvam langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Deenataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Very, very grateful to be doing and be of some service to Srimad Bhagavatam, but at the same time feeling very unqualified to speak on today's subject matter. So I seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas. Thank you so much. So I could speak something and do some justice to today's subject matter. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Hare Krishna. So this is Vidura Maitreya Samvad, and in that the description of Kardam Muni and Devahuti, which will result in the ultimate appearance of his lordship as Kapila Dev, Kapila Muni, and the advent of the Sankhya understanding of, or the Sankhya darshan of the Vedas. So these are the events that are mentioned as what is leading to the advent of Lord Kapila Dev. And in this particular verse, there is a very intimate discussion of how 9 daughters are born to Devahuti and Kardam Muni. Srila Prabhupada mentions over here that Smriti Shastra and Ayurveda, they have a certain explanation of how boy and a girl are born. I studied biology, the gross science, and gross science is good in explaining to some extent how something happens. But gross science essentially fails every time in explaining why something happens. Right? Universe came into existence like this. How? Like this. What happened before that? We don't know. What will happen after this? Okay, we have some assumption, some speculation, which may be backed by some theory, which may change every 10 years also. Right? But they fail to answer the why it is like that. One of the scientists actually once mentioned that if you see, the universe is governed by some laws, like gravitation works everywhere. Well, there is no need for it. Like it need not, it's not like somebody can enforce that it has to be like this. Right? So in that sense, it's very interesting. He says that, okay, the laws exist, but who asked the universe to follow these laws? In that sense, right? Why do the laws exist? Was there a need that laws must exist? So if from an atheistic gross science philosophy, if somebody looks at this world, they would essentially fail to even prove by science that why should laws exist? Why cannot be answered? Something that is there, observable, you can answer how and explain it to a child and he'll say, ah, very nice. In diplomacy and the art of negotiations, art of convincing people, what is done is that first, some true facts are presented to a person with great conviction. And when they have your full attention and full faith, then a speculation is thrown. And what happens is that the unsuspecting audience buy it. They take it because everything else that was said was correct. So the scientists, if they build up a whole case based on observations that you can also observe, over next 20 years, you go do your laboratory experiments, and at the end of that, if they conclude there is no God, then there is a systematic breaking of faith in spiritual subject matters. That is the plight of today's society, right? Today's society, in our books, in the name of secularism, we have gotten rid of faith, the primary fundamental principle that governs us, that drives our lives. It is not taught, it is not spoken about. So even if somebody does not explicitly pushes the idea, the atheistic idea, so once in a while you will hear some science teacher tell in the class that in science class there is no God. We don't believe in God. And then we present all these scientific observations which are observable by you also. You can go and test and this and that. So very slowly, this, in the name of gross science, we are turning the society not only atheistic but also faithless. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Janvalla Bhagwan ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Patit Pavan Gaur Hari ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, why I brought this up is there is a big problem now. The big problem is that I am not a child anymore. I grew up, and I grew up with a certain perspective towards life, a perception which is driven by the education that I received. And now when a spiritual thought is presented to me, I challenge it with my gross material knowledge. So when the Shastras say that sun is closer to earth than moon, or that man never went to moon, Srila Prabhupada said that, and sun is closer to earth than moon is something that is written in the Shastras. Or here it is said that something about the discharge of, in that intimate relation, whatever is the detail is happening, there is some logic given how somebody begets a girl and somebody begets a boy. And with whatever genetics or whatever I read in gross science, they boil it down to when it comes to how the chromosomes and, some biological detail is presented over there, which may seem somewhat contradictory to what is being mentioned over here. This is where a very important point comes. How do you decide what is right, what is wrong? And a very important way to answer that is Om Purnamidam Purnamada Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. This world, what you are seeing here is complete. What is there means whatever you cannot see is also complete. And it is coming, the source of this is complete. And when all these different manifestations come out from this complete whole, still remains complete, even though so many things have expanded from there. So somebody asks, how is this world complete? So the answer is that the things should be understood by the purpose what they are meant for. A needle is perfect in its purpose of what a needle is supposed to do. That needle does that. And the sword is complete in its purpose of what the sword is supposed to do. You interchange that, they are not complete anymore. The needle cannot be used where sword is needed, and sword cannot be used where needle is required. So purpose defines the relevance of the question. If the purpose is not correctly understood, then your conclusion may be wrong. Okay. So Om Purnamida Purnamidam, this world is supposed to give you a feeling of imperfection and a source of dissatisfaction. Krishna declares this world to be Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. It is supposed to be a place of misery. And because of that, this world is complete because it is supposed to give you that perception of incompleteness as long as you are trying to associate with this material world. So the same ways, when it comes to sun or moon, what their purpose is, if we understand that, then we can understand whether it is closer to us or farther from us by that purpose. And I would like to first take an example which is easier to understand and then go to that. Let's say you have a small music player on which you listen to very nice kirtan. And now you want to go deeper and understand and learn kirtan. So you take this device and you say, I want to go deeper. So you get all the tools and you start opening this device now. And you start looking at each and every particle of that. And finally, you reach a conclusion by opening its each and every bit and piece. I did not find any music inside. So it's a myth. What do you need to do for music? Nothing. There's nothing inside, So this is a very wrong way of approaching what you wanted originally. You wanted to go deeper into the kirtan, then speaker, whatever the digital device is, you break it down into that. You will not be anywhere close to music because of that. So moon has a certain position in our existence, in the existence of life on earth. The Shastras have some purpose explained for that. Like taste of all the fruits and vegetables comes from moon. It gives you cooling effect in the night. All those things that you are seeing. There's somaras that, the yogis and the demigods are hankering for. Now you leave all this apart and you say, I want to go do a deeper study of the moon. And you take a ship and you land over there. All you will find is soil and nothing else, right? Gravity and this, that. Why? Because you're far away from the purpose of it. The purpose why moon is shining over there. How is very irrelevant than the why. Okay. So that I'm just touching upon it. Anything I say beyond this may go into the box of speculation. But up till here, it makes sense that if we understand the purpose, the position of sun is more spiritual than the position of moon. And that's why for a Jivatma, it is in our best interest to pursue, if at all, for a yogi, basically. Srila Prabhupada writes that a yogi can walk over the sunlight and reach the sun planet. He does not mention something like that for the moonshine or the moon rays. It is mentioned for the sun rays, right? So if we go in this direction by understanding the purpose, we can understand how the Shastras, they are pointing you to a particular purpose and the way this world works. The why, the reason for this world to exist is far more important than how this world is working. And based on that, we are seeing a couple of things that are mentioned over here. The second point that I picked up from here is that, okay, now the 9 daughters were born to Devahuti, and it appears from the circumstance that, okay, she was more excited, therefore she had 9 daughters. However, all the 9 daughters were very beautiful and their bodies were nicely formed and they were fragrant. A couple of thoughts. First, when a birth happens in this Mrityu Loka on the earthly planet, um, most of the birth result in some sort of bad smell or need for cleanliness after that. But as we rise higher and higher towards the higher planets, as soon as we hit Svarga Loka, uh, all this bad smell is gone, and it's the heavenly planet, the fragrance that starts, manifesting from the body. So that is one characteristic that has been mentioned. But more importantly, what I wanted to bring up was that in this universe, there are certain qualities which are considered feminine and certain qualities that are considered masculine. Beauty usually is associated as a feminine quality. Motherly nature is considered a feminine quality, and protection protection due to the virtue of strength is considered a masculine quality. When we talk about the earlier times or the heavenly planets, we should know that Satyuga and the qualities that are manifested in Satyuga on the earthly planet are the qualities that are always manifesting in the heavenly planets. Heavenly planets in that sense are always experiencing Satyuga only, because why? Because they are following dharma, right? If they are not following dharma, it will be narka, right? So lower planets. So wherever there is dharma followed, there is a very clear line of differentiation between masculine qualities and feminine qualities. So if you see one personality, if they are in a man's body, then their qualities are expected that will be masculine. And if it is a woman's body, then it would be feminine qualities. So here, these 9 girls, they are born with those feminine qualities of beauty. They are fragrant and, very nice. All those heavenly qualities are present. That is not the case in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is said that if you see from astrological point of view, any person who's born in Kali Yuga, it is said their horoscope has a dosha. At least one dosha is there. Okay. Second, if you see from feminine and masculine qualities, there is a mix of feminine and masculine qualities in a person. If you see from Varna standpoint, Varnas are also mixed. Okay. So that is to say, it is very difficult to understand even by picking up one example and trying to understand a concept. When somebody tries to explain a concept, they take up simple examples, right? But if you look at the cases in the Kali Yuga, right, it is very difficult to be able to relate to it, because somebody may say that a feminine quality is submission, being submissive. That is a feminine quality. Okay. So if somebody tries to explain the concept by saying that, okay, women are in general are supposed to be submissive, or women are submissive, then by looking at every woman I have seen in my life, I may disagree. I may say, oh, I don't see, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I have seen some men who are also submissive. I have seen some women who are not so submissive. They are very distinct. So this is not the idea. The idea is that the feminine quality is that you are motherly in nature. Motherly in nature means you are loving towards all the living entities. That is what you do. That is what your nature is, right? So so that's why we need to go beyond what is visible on the surface. If we want to understand the nature of this world, the purpose of this world, what the Shastras are saying, we have to go beyond the Kali Yuga situation that we are born in, to be able to understand just the basic concepts of spirituality and what the Shastras are talking about. So another very important aspects that I wanted to mention because of this is what happens when the qualities start mixing. Actually, A good combination of masculine and feminine qualities is very healthy. In the sense, this is something that I learned from one of my teachers in school, who was very proficient in Vedic knowledge. And after every time that there would be a morning assembly, he would sometimes quote some shloka, and then he would quote this. And I was very impressed when I heard this one. I don't remember the shloka now, but he was saying that if a man gets who has masculine qualities, if he gets feminine qualities of care and uh, all the good qualities, then he turns into a devata. And this is to say that the masculine nature is to be very protective, to be strong, more than protective, actually being strong, being controlling in that sense, that kshatriya nature, or a passionate nature. That is what is characterized by this masculine nature. And that by default makes them a little insensitive. Like, you have to be a little insensitive on a battlefield, otherwise how will you kill the other person, right? That's why you will see when even today when the wrestlings happen, right, the wrestlers, they say bad things to each other. They increase the hatred and they try to increase the fear in the other person. It's the most insensitive place, where they do not mind punching somebody and the blood is coming out and they are all insensitive about it, right? So that is the masculine nature. That is the nature of masculinity. When the sensitivity of those feminine qualities come in, then a person has the power to do a lot of things, but he also gets the intelligence of how to have that compassion towards other living entities. Arjuna was one such person. Not only he had the masculine strength to overpower most of his or all of his enemies, but he had that feminine side of sensitivity also. This is also a result of association only, and right way, associating in the right way. Nowadays in the Kali Yuga, the association of a man and a woman only results in lust. And that's why it is recommended for even for the brahmacharis or the would-be brahmacharis, the children, if they want to be brahmachari, right, then they should reduce this feminine association even from the childhood as much as possible. I'm not qualified to say it. I've heard it, so I'm repeating it from the brahmacharis, but I do understand the reason behind it. When a proper association of feminine, that means of matajis, if a child grows up with more girls around them, they are more timid in nature. In general, they are more sattvic in nature, they are more peaceful in nature, and Arjuna demonstrates this in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, where he shows that in that sensitivity side of it. On the other hand, the boys who are like from the most boyish, the most masculine boys are usually the boys who grow up in boys' school and they have remotely no association of women. In that, at least the relationship with mother should be is the key. Actually, the relationship with the mother and the relationship with the father is responsible for the character of the person. After that, they can only, by the power of intelligence, they can curb those natures. But what nature, what you have to deal with, the way karma and guna defines that is by giving you a birth in a particular family to a particular couple. So I attended this one of men's retreat actually that happened in New Vrindavan. And they were saying that almost all the cases where a man turns into abusive or offender, sexual offender or whatever, if you take up their cases and you do case studies, you will find that they had a very, very troubled relationship with their mother. This is at a psychological level. This is not at a gross level, So because they become your foundations of your consciousness, on which your consciousness stands. So the boys who are purely that boyish nature, boys school, this, they in general have insensitivity towards, if they get married, the best thing for them is they should become brahmacharis. That is the best thing for every boy in that sense. But that's not the case of people who are born in this world, because we all have lust. So then the varnashram has been presented, varnashram has been established by Krishna. So when you enter grihastha ashram, those who do not have this sensitivity developed in their consciousness, they have that learning curve which could last for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. 10 years, after 10 years, everybody gives up. The Prabhu also gives up on this thing, and the Matajis also give up. But that's why it is said that a very healthy combination of masculine and feminine qualities is important for a healthy relationship. Here it is said, it seems by the verses that we are reading, that even though Kardam Muni was literally compared here because he was a pure Brahmana, he's at a Brahman platform. He's referred to as Vibhu in one of the succeeding verses or preceding verses that I was reading. Vibhu means he is being compared to the Supreme, and only that person can be compared to the Supreme who is at the Brahman platform. So even if Devahuti is not that spiritually advanced, the dynamics of relationship between them is very balanced and it's very nice. That is evident from the verses that have been spoken and are going to be spoken right now. So when the female energy and the male energy is balanced in a household, that household becomes very potent. And this is the last point that I want to speak then. Now you have all this potency, let's say, or you do not have the potency. Either you have a very strong relationship where the male and female energies are very balanced, or you are in a situation where the male and female energies are not balanced. Ultimately, what are you going to do with that potency? Like the material world, people define highly successful people, and they will say, if you will see the chemistry between that husband and wife, many people quote the Ambanis, look at the Mr. Ambani and Mrs. Ambani, right? Then they say that the energy between them, the kind of relationship between them is far, far above those husband-wife jokes where wife is like this and husband is like, no. Very good synergy between them. But what to talk of just the husband and wife? Anywhere where three people come together, if they have a very good synergy, they have a tremendous potency over there. Now, what do you do with that potency? You can become an Ambani, yes. You can be a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire. But we have to understand, if we understand the value of Bhagavad Gita and the message of Bhagavad Gita as something which is richer and more important than even a multi-million or billion-dollar business, if we understand that, then we are able to transcend something. And that is the last point I wanted to speak about. Because of all these atheistic natures of not having faith in the Shastras and all the gross science that we have learned, which has so deeply established in our hearts that, oh, everything is happening by science. Where is the need for God in here? That atheism, right? It weakens our faith. And when the faith is weak, then it leads to a life filled with uselessness. Uselessness. You are endeavoring and you endeavor for money, for fame, for name, for hundreds of things, which are all essentially, if you go deeper, you find are useless. This uselessness is also called vanity. Jaydev Swami Maharaj has written a book, Vanity Karma. When I saw that title, I had only heard one word, vanity. I always heard that, oh, Mataji is my mother. She had a vanity box. So I was like, oh, vanity box. Okay. But maybe Jaydev Swami Maharaj is trying to compare it with some sorts of that cosmetics and this, that thing, because that's what Matajis keep in a vanity box. So I picked up the dictionary. I wanted to read the meaning of vanity. And I was surprised and shocked. Vanity means uselessness. I was like, what? So what is that box? So basically, they're selling it, and all the Matajis are buying their vanity box. It's like the box of useless things. I was like, this is so disrespectful towards all the Matajis. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, when the energies and the male energy and the female energies are not balanced, then the women are actually not respected. When the women are not respected, that place becomes inauspicious. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata. The demigods, where the women are respected, demigods reside in that society, in that environment, those people. And then there's another line, Yatra naryastu na pujyante. I'm forgetting the last word, but it basically says where women are not respected, no auspicious thing can happen over there. So, but coming back to vanity karma, vanity means uselessness. And what it means is that, and I was having a conversation with actually Advait Prabhu recently, sharing the same thoughts. So I just say it here, Prabhuji, then after speaking to you. So this uselessness of life, it generates great amount of dissatisfaction. And the entire idea, what I was meditating upon, the idea of anarth nivriti, it starts with basically reducing any such activity which is essentially useless. Lust can result in useless activities. Anger can result in not only useless activities, but let's say there were 5 people, they were trying to get some very good thing done. And one person gets angry and starts yelling, and let's say they are the boss or whatever. And everybody gets demoralized, loses motivation. What will happen? The work, the outcome, the output would be reduced, severely reduced by that. So this is an anartha. Why is it an anartha? Because it reduces your potential as an individual and as a group. So anything that reduces our potential as an individual or as a group is an anartha. So anartha, if you want to overcome anartha, which can be a subtle thing, we have to start at a gross level, and we need to reduce those activities which generate out of lust, out of anger, out of greed for material progress, pride, envy, or the most important, the illusion in which we are living, where everything we see is so godless, right? So anarth nivriti can be solved by having one single focus. That one single focus has to become the goal of my life, my goal of my day, goal of my afternoon, and goal of my night, that I have dedicated my life to. Anybody who you see as a great personality in Hare Krishna movement, you will see that they were spending and they were surrendered to the mission of Srila Prabhupada on a moment-to-moment basis. Not like, yeah, sometimes I come, but most of the times, yeah, book distribution is not for me, or, oh, there is this. People, there have been devotees where, there were people standing with guns, and the devotees were ready to face them. That is the kind of determination towards the surrender and the goal of life. When we have such goal of life and such determination towards it, right, that becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle alone can help us transcend the uselessness of material activities. So that's all I have. Hare Krishna. You have any comments? Any questions? No?
Because for the masculine and feminine natures and all those things, one should have that natures. But when it comes to men, we should think, but what about feminine?
For the
We
Matajis,
have this.
the boldness is a masculine quality. But Matajis, it will be very nice if the Matajis are a little bold, because in this world, courage is very important even on spiritual path. And this is exemplified by Mother Sita. Mother Sita says some very, very bold and courageous things in her conversations with Lord Ram to demonstrate that that courage uh, takes us far. You know,
Somebody who is too bold, but then so, I must say one more aspect of feminine nature is approachability. Like if some kid is having some problem, she will
Yes.
be very much inclined to approach mother rather than father because of the compassion
Yes.
that she shows. But if she displays this boldness, that too much of those, not too much of this, even little bit, oh, she's not compromising, like that kind of thing, then they'll be the shelter.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. So these all the qualities, at least that we see here, right, they are manifesting in a world of duality. In the world of duality, one quality can be used very nicely or it can be misused. Like Guru Maharaj talks of Sindhu Tai. If you see Sindhu Tai, you will find boldness and courage applied in a very nice way. uh, the definition of good and bad is selfish and selfless, right? So any quality in this world, if you apply it for a selfless purpose, then you're going closer to divinity, that devatva. The more you apply it, even best of the qualities, you only apply it for yourself, you are going towards the uselessness of the life. Hare Krishna. Any comments? Oh, we cannot hear question. Oh, yeah, the question was if there are what's about the imbalance. What if quality is too much or too little? What to say about that? So for that, I said, Hare Krishna. Okay. So
Dandavad Pranam. Very nice. So just wanted to add one more point from what I was reading yesterday from Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada was saying Mother Devaki tries to convince Kamsa when he kills the eighth child, like the daughter, which is Durga Devi. So when he tries to kill that eighth child, Mother Devaki tries to please Kamsa, like she tries to distract him by pleasing him with the words. Like she uses different types of political uh, pleasing, where Prabhupada says that in olden days, even the king's daughters and all the women who were associated with the king family, they also had all the political skills, but they never came out, and they never came out and they became kings. Even though they had idea. I mean, that was what Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport. I just wanted to add, which seemed relevant to what you mentioned in the class.
Haribol. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad
Hare
Pranam. Thank you so much. It was a very technical class backed with lot of shastric evidence. Prabhuji, the point that I liked most was when you brought that doesn't matter what qualities you have, the point that is most important is what you do with those qualities. So every day on a day-to-day basis, if our goal of life is coming closer to Krishna, morning, afternoon, and night, then we are actually able to overcome the uselessness of this material world. That was a very nice point, Prabhuji, very practical. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Mataji, for your encouragement. Please pray for me. I can do what I said. Hare Krishna. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
HG Ramkumar Prabhu ki jai. Thank you.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji.